Welcome to Coastside Poetry. Thanks to those of you who've zoomed in and those who are watching on YouTube. We meet either physically or virtually on the second Tuesday of every month to celebrate spoken word poetry. I'm Diane Moomey, and Steve Long and I will be your hosts this evening. Our event is being recorded and streamed live onto YouTube as we speak. So anyone can look at it later. We'll be posting the link on our website, www.coastsidepoetry.org. This evening, we welcome La Honda poet Joe Cottonwood. Currently, one of Joe Cottonwood's poems is on display on an 8-foot-tall billboard in the Kew Gardens in London, England. He is widely published around the world. His newest book of poetry is Random Saints. Previous poetry books are Son of a Poet and Foggy Dog. In addition, he's the author of 9 popular novels and the award-winning 99 Jobs, Blood, Sweat, and Houses. He lives in La Honda, California. Please welcome Joe Cottonwood.
Hi. I just found out it's 9 feet tall. It's 3 meters, so that's about 9 feet. Gosh, I thank you for inviting me here. I mean, I've been coming. I was going back to my records of what I've read before. The Coastside readings go way back to, many years, 4. So I was looking for things I hadn't read before, but also things that I think we'll go over. Let me just get started. I thought I'd start with one of my earliest poems that somehow, some poems kind of fall apart after a while and some just get stronger. And this one just seemed very relevant. I was thinking of it just a month ago as I had to evacuate my house as the wildfires were coming. It's called Redwood Prayer. Grant me deep roots, solid branches. Let the fires pass me by. Let generations of squirrels and blue jays hop on my limbs. Let me breathe fog, chew sunlight, and look down over centuries. I wrote that in 1982. Now here's one that's more recent. My latest book, I might as well plug it. That first poem, by the way, was in my very first book, which is called Son of a Poet, which came out so long ago. My latest book, Random Saints. And this is the poem from which the title is taken. It's called A Random Saint Rides the Bus. With a face of wretched scars like layered pond scum. In the seat beside me, she says without prompting, I teach 7th grade social studies because I love to bend a mind like molten metal before it cools hard. She hums 1 or 2 notes like commas as she talks, tuning her thoughts. My cubs, that age, the hormones hit so hard you can hear their heartbeats, beat, beat, so loud. My cubs, every day, they navigate among the flotsam. Just look at this bus, what they deal with. And you and me, right? Because we're all riding on this bus. My cubs, I don't know their values. I'm sorry. My cubs don't know their values. They may not know their own gender. It's a race to develop personal integrity before the peer group kills them. They need somebody who will listen to their heartbeats. Somebody must say, yes, that's right, or no, That's absolutely wrong. Though mostly I say, there's no absolute here. But I love those emerging souls, and maybe I help shape them in some small way. Hmm. You wonder what happened to my face? One of my cubs threw acid. One of my lost ones. Hmm. A thin gold chain around her neck, a gold cross upon her chest. Here's my stop, she says. Have a great day. Thanks. I thought that the time was ripe for a book like Random Saints about poems of kindness in an unkind age. And I think there's a random saint in all of us. And here's a poem about that, based on something I did a while back. It's called Little Frogs Are Hopping. Little frogs are hopping from the pond to the weeds, hopping in the headlight beams, across wet asphalt, through strings of drizzle, hopping where my car can only squash them, so I stop. You take my hand. Thank you, you say. You like frogs. There is another route, an extra mile. I back up, turn around. More cars will come, I say. Again, you take my hand. That's on them, you say. We do what we can do. And maybe, just maybe, we spared a prince. That was in your daily poem a while back. And actually, I'm in your daily poem today, if you subscribe to that. I'm not going to read that one today. This was called, this is also from Random Saints. It's called Like Pigs. I guess probably you all know I've worked most of my life as a contractor repairing houses. This is based on one of those days. Like pigs. It's Janice on the phone from her sailboat near Madagascar. Sound of waves slapping Hull, half a planet distant. Her tenants have a stopped up sink. Their own fault, says Janice, because they live like pigs, packing 5 kids into that 2-bedroom cottage, but I should fix it, which is how I meet freckly, smiley Georgia, who is discreetly nursing a blanketed babe as she leads me to the one and only bathroom, where opening the sink cabinet, I find giant brown fungi in a pool of slime. Georgia says, yikes! Baby starts fussing, probably about the smell, like raccoon turd pudding. I have to scrape out fungus, run a snake through black goo, then straighten the drain, which was never installed properly, causing the whole problem. Georgia is stirring soup over a stove, babe in arms like a copper cherub, while 4 kids of laddering ages play kick the can. Tom arrives in his old truck, joins the game. Georgia calls to him, you done it for today? Tom shouts back, I replaced the windshield wiper on Bradley's car. He don't know. Georgia explains to me, Tom's a mechanic, performs a secret good deed each day. It's so simple, she says. Back to the bathroom. Quickly, I replace the crappy shower nozzle. I won't ask. Janice won't pay. Like pigs, we nurture, we bless. I never know how to let you know I finished a poem. It's over. I don't know what the signal is except to just stop. So I'm glad you guys get it. This is a poem I wrote so recently. I know the exact day. It was September 9th, Wednesday. It was the day the sun didn't come out. And I had to drive to Half Moon Bay, and I went there at noon, and I had my headlights on, and all the cars had their headlights on. And I wrote this poem, which became it instantly went viral. I posted it on Facebook, and it just went all over the place. One Day There Was No Day is the title. One day there was no day. No birds sang at dawn because there was no dawn. We walked our dogs by flashlight. One day there was no sun. Through smoky veils, you could stare directly at a floating tangerine. One day there was no noon. Owls hooted. Crickets chirped. Porch lights never dimmed. Deer wandered the streets, blinking tears of soot. One day there was no I, no you. One day we were we, scared, seeking touch. Please hold my hand. What the again the when I was in Half Moon Bay, I was looking at the eyes of everybody was wearing masks, but you could still see their eyes, and there was fear in everybody's eyes. It was just, if you can't count on day following night, what can you count on? And the look in their eyes, I just saw it. I felt it over and over again. That let's forget our differences. We're all in this together. Where's the sun? And that's why I ended the poem that way. Let's go in a different direction here. I attended a wedding in La Honda a while back a long time ago. And it was the son of a friends of mine. And it was a backyard wedding, a small affair. And I was there, and all my friends' friends were there. And then the bride was there. None of her family showed up. The bride stood there with no family at all. And the reason was the bride's family felt that the groom was the wrong ethnic background, wrong religion, wrong everything. And they simply said they're not coming to the wedding. So the bride stood there, and she was so beautiful. And I looked into her eyes, and I saw there is no way her family did not come to this wedding. And so I wrote this poem. All of your ancestors come to your wedding. By horse, by canoe they come, dressed in grass skirts and beaver pelt hats. They bring amphorae of wine, barrels of ancient beer. They fight, belch, kiss both cheeks. They hug too tight. They make ribald jokes. They embarrass you utterly. They paint flowers on your face and weave sunshine in your hair. They smoke sacred herbs, chant, pound on drums, sing in a lost language. They puff music in hollowed bamboo, dance in circles, juggle flaming torches. They draw antelope on the walls of your cave. As dowry, they bring generations of struggle, millenniums of sacrifice. They will come to your wedding whether you invite them or not. Wish them welcome. Thanks. I don't know where we are on time. Do you want another one, or should I just cut it here and come back at the end, Diane?
another one is fine. Just make sure you save us one for the end. That'd be cool.
Okay.
So, sure. How are you feeling?
My voice is running a little dry, but I can do one more.
Okay. That sounds good.
Okay. I'm going to do the one, and I'm not authorized to do this, so I'm breaking the law here. You know, you can break a law by reading a poem. That poem that's in Kew Gardens, I had to sign a contract. They paid me for it, so I sort of need to honor it. But the contract said I could not publish the poem or show it until the exhibit at Kew Gardens was over, and the exhibit ends at the end of October. So I'm not sure if performing at a mic counts, but
yeah, but it's recorded. It's recorded on YouTube. It actually is. I mean, if they really wanted to be sticky,
I don't know. What can they do? They've already paid me.
Stop payment on the check.
I'll tell you what. All right, next month I'll do it.
There you go. Perfect. Okay. Perfect.
So yeah. Tune in next month if you're curious.
Yes.
What's at Kew Gardens? They contacted me. It's like that redwood poem I started with. They contacted me because they wanted someone to write a poem about a redwood grove, and they associated me with redwoods. So
good.
Yes. That's that poem that I wrote, 40 years ago, and it's been published all over the world, and this is the feedback. Anyway, here's one called "The Family Tree," and this also is in Random Saints. This is as close as I'm going to come to a political poem. This is not a political headband, although I'll point out that blue is on top and red is down at the bottom. So anyway, "The Family Tree." From this, it's a true story about my great-great-grandfather who was lynched during the Civil War. The Family Tree. From this tree, they lynched John T. for the crime of preaching against slavery. Hollow now, like a scolding ghost, this spar stands among Holsteins in the pasture of a man who figures we're cousins somehow. He, a Midwestern farmer, me, a California craftsman, political poles apart, but blood is thicker than geography. Tough to salvage, ancient black walnut riddled by woodpecker, softened by rot. Working together with chainsaw and wrecking bar, we find a section of solid core. Here's a scar in the bark, like a grinning face where the branch broke off, long gone. That happy limb held the rope-swinging John T.'s massive frame of muscle and blubber and bluster until it snapped and he ran, fast as a fat man could run. John T., grandfather of my grandfather, ran into the forest, hiding until his best friend rescued him. A man named, ironically, Lynch, grandfather of the man with whom I speak. Thus, cousins in the country way. I'll make salad bowls, I say, wooden forks and tongs, walnut plates, maybe even a tea set for your daughter who seems so outspoken, so feisty and strong. Tea set, he says, she needs a lectern. So here it is, the grinning knot on the surface, those holes in the side from bullets, lead slugs. I dug them out. Here, this cloth sack. Here, may she heft them in her fist. May her words fire like cannons for freedom.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe. Everyone, feel free to unmute yourselves for a few minutes, and if you'd like to say something to to Joe before we start the open mic?
Great poem to end with, Joe. That was terrific. Really
thank you.
terrific.
Really enjoyed it too. Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
Hard act to follow.
Great.
Good stuff, Joe. Good way to go.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jay.
Yeah, I read Random Saints, Joe. Wonderful. And that last poem, wow. I must say, it's your own personal life coming to life. Whoa, very good.
You know, that poem, there was a year or two ago, Terry and I went to a poetry reading that turned out, it was in Santa Cruz, and we didn't know what it was until we got there. It turned out it was in a church basement, and we were reading to a bunch of homeless people. And I'm thinking, I'm going to read poetry to homeless people? How am I going to get through to them? And then I thought, wait, I got a poem about somebody who got lynched. I think they can relate to that. And they did, you know? So I read them that one. And I read another one about getting locked out of a cabin bare naked in the winter. And they related to that one really well.
Read that to us.
Fantastic, Joe. Really fantastic.
No, your poetry
Thank
is
you.
always so centered on people and experiences and just life and living, and so very relatable stuff.
Good.
Just extremely
Really
good.
true.
Thank you for sharing with us tonight.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I think I'm not what you would call a lyric poet. You know, I don't describe things. I don't say, see the pretty flower, you know.
No.
I'll say, see the girl pick the pretty flower and eat it or something, you know. Something has to happen, you know.
You got it, Joe.
I think
Really?
yeah. The
Not that-
word populist comes to mind. I'm not sure if it's appropriate, but, you know, a populist poet, someone
popular.
who's-
I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's someone who talks about and relates to and appeals to people on the people level. I think I'll have to look it up.
Does.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I found it amazing. Really, I get into your characters or your moments of being with these characters. It's amazing, Joe. Very
Okay.
good.
Cool. Maybe that's why I don't get published in the prestige magazines. You know, it's not
Hey,
that-
you're doing all right. Come on now.
I would say that you make it look easy, which is quite a feat. So
It's hard to be simple, you know.
Yeah.
That's my motto. It's hard, but I do it. I try to do it.
That's old wisdom, Joe.
Hard to be simple. That's great.
I love that. Go ahead.
I love that wedding poem.
Oh, good.
Even without the preamble, which gives us a lot on its own, it's still amazingly beautiful. I love all the ancestors. Again, you bring in all this past being present, which is in some of your other poems too.
Mm.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Joe, I loved your reading. And if you could send me an email, bluelightpress@aol.com. I'm working on an anthology and I heard some stuff that I might want to put in. So bluelightpress@aol.com.
Blue Light Press. Okay, let me jot that down.
You can look at our website.
Maybe you could put it into the chat, Diane,
Okay.
and then everyone can save the chat at the end. If someone doesn't know how to save the chat, ask me before we end and I'll walk you through it. So I've just posted the reading list again. And let's see, I think, Steve, if you'd like to mute everyone, we'll start with that. Let's see. I'm not seeing Maureen Killow. So Diane, are you ready to read, or is this too sudden?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been thinking about the poem. I'm going to read my poem Magnificat for Johann Sebastian Bach. I'm reading this because I am really missing playing in the Golden Gate Symphony. I am missing ushering for the San Francisco Symphony, doing other things to keep the music alive, and playing a lot of cello. So this comes from a 20-hour marathon at Syracuse University on Bach's birthday when I was a student there. Magnificat. It was the old man's 285th birthday, and I mean the maestro, the Illuminata, Johann Sebastian Bach. I was a university student, and to celebrate 3 centuries of musical genius, our conductor led a 20-hour marathon concert starting early in the morning. All day, musicians and students migrated in and out of the auditorium with motets, cantatas, and concertos. A barefooted organist played the toccata and fugue in D minor, then a prelude entirely with his feet. I was amazed at the synergy of dance and sound. Our concertmaster dazzled us by playing the 6th Bach cello suite arranged for violin with his eyes closed, no music stand as he tuned to an inner singing. Segue to the entire orchestra walking on stage to play the 2nd Brandenburg Concerto, the Concerto for 2 harpsichords, the Concerto for 3 harpsichords, and later, just after sunset, the Magnificat. I was playing cello next to the harpsichord, inside the sway of its musical body, surrounded by tones that took me back to an earlier century. That night, I had my first experience of musical transcendence. The moon was glowing through stained glass. On the stage, we were playing the Magnificat. Inside, we were flying in otherworldly ecstasy. By 10 o'clock that night, I could swear the maestro was there, listening and sometimes playing with us. Years later, on the other side of the continent, one of my private pleasures is playing the Bach cello suites late at night with no one listening. And sometimes by the ocean with the moon glowing towards full, the old man whispers to me.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that must be so hard not to be able to play with everyone right next to you and all around you and hearing all the sound.
I am longing to play Beethoven's 9th Symphony again, but what I'm doing now is playing duets, cello duets twice a month with my teacher who is in the San Francisco Symphony. So it is really keeping the music alive.
Oh, that's just wonderful. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Kathleen McClung, hi.
Hi.
We would love to hear your poem.
Sure. I'm going to read a villanelle from my book, The Typists Play Monopoly. And I wrote this poem during the recession of 2009. And I think the feeling that this poem captures is very much the same sort of feeling that I've been having during the coronavirus shutdown. It's called Vacancies. 600 signs on window panes for lease. An autumn sun below St. Albert's Cross. This boulevard at dusk, a haunted peace. All those with wings have hidden, fled. Gulls, geese, and ravens, fat from stale pork buns, soy sauce. 600 signs on window panes for lease. Graffitied buses idling release thin plumes of listless passengers, exhaust. This boulevard at dusk, a haunted peace. Terse downstairs neighbors hoard apologies with canned pineapple, bourbon, flashlights, gauze, 600 signs on window panes, for lease. These too have flown away, our ecstasies, silk kites. What lingers? Curfews, trespass laws. This boulevard at dusk, a haunted piece. Light fades, we fade. No tunes, no melodies. A limbo in a hush within a pause. 600 signs on window panes, for lease. This boulevard at dusk, a haunted piece.
Wow. Unfortunately, that just does feel so timely. Comes round again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Your work always it's just right here in the middle of what's happening. And it's a window to, I don't know, for me, a clearer or a fresher way to see something I thought I already knew. So
thank you, Diana. Thank you.
Let's find my list again. Deanie Loki, are you ready to read for us? You're muted. You're still muted. There you go. No. You're unmuted, but I can't hear you. No. Oh dear. Well, let's see. If you think you can fix it in a couple seconds, raise up your hand. If not, I'll come back to you a little bit later in the reading and see if you have some sound then. How does that sound? Okay, I'm so sorry. Oh, yeah. Let's see, Susan Kornfeld, she's not here. Ellen Woods, are you still here? There you are. Yes. Okay. And you are muted. Yes.
Now can you hear me?
Yes, it's perfectly clear. Yes.
Okay. This is called Self-Portrait as a Morning Person. I wait by my inner clock, luxuriating in bed, feel the surround of sage green sheets holding the warmth or the coolness if tossed aside. I push to sitting, lean into the uptake, make my way to the kitchen. Inner world hums, wisps of dreams, heart space, energized. I am greeted by stainless steel dish drainer, resting on scarlet drying mat, catching all excess. I pull out the glass cup, return it to its rightful place among its 7 companions. Morning light on Pyrex bowl, last night's cooking container, steamed spinach, tomatoes, sea salt, onions, garlic, black sesame seed, generously tossed with olive oil. Deposit to middle shelf, barely noticing the shoulder pain as I slide it to its proper venue. Glass plates return to their stack beside the custard bowls, everything transparent, no effort, no thought, pristine clarity. Silverware together, steel cylinder, uniform drying holes, permanent dwelling. Everything in its place. I make a chai latte, sip slowly, then sit down to meditate.
It's lovely. Thank you so much. Let's see. Blake is not here yet. Mary Marcia, are you ready for us? Good.
Okay, so this poem is called Broken Skin. Can you hear me well?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, Broken Skin. Our mother knelt on old pillows, confessing to flower beds. Black pigeons always frighten easy. Someone fell asleep smoking during the night, and it seemed there'd be nothing left. But after all, nothing changed. Only one bedroom burnt. My bedroom had been my brother's, in the same house before I was born. Where did the others sleep? Mother nursed her own mother and her mother-in-law's broken hips, and her sister with multiple sclerosis. Brother and sister, years and years apart, scaled the same fence, stole plums off the neighbor's same tree, heard Mrs. Madrano's enraged scream as a young woman, as an old woman. If I catch you kids, I'll skin you alive. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for that. That's great. Let's see. Bill Burns, there you are.
I'm unmuted. Thank you. Happy to be here. I'm experimenting with a sonnet form. This is called a couplet sonnet, 14 lines of couplets. Things I want for my family. I want them all to know that they are loved and have a place to come if they get shut. I want for them to know I value them, that they are worth more than a costly gem. Each should know that life gives them a purpose and that love hides inside life's wild circus. They should rely on empathy and love to stop, offer a hand, and rise above. I want them all to be a bit humble, to look for love when things start to crumble. I want them all to care and show regard, to follow their own path, even when hard. If they can face life with a smile each day, they will find success in a loving way. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks. That's
Thank you.
very interesting form. I thought of a sonnet in couplets. Elise, where is Elise? There.
I'm
Hi.
here.
Hi,
Can you hear me?
welcome, Elise Kazantian.
Thank you. My poem is a pantoum poem, and it's called Lizard Tongue Man. After I got that job, everyone there said I was so lucky to work for such a fine magazine, to be chosen for such an enviable position. Everyone there said I was so lucky at my half-century plus age to be chosen for such an enviable position, as if my worth is measured in numbers. At my half-century plus age, young coworkers said I should be grateful, as if my worth is measured in numbers, my years of experience tossed to the side. Young coworkers said I should be grateful, working for a community pillar, my experience tossed to the side in an office with a respectable morality. I worked for a community pillar. He grabbed me at a company party in an office with a respectable morality. He kissed me with his lizard tongue. He grabbed me at a company party, the man who was our own community pillar. He kissed me with his lizard tongue, those early praises now silent. The man who was our own community pillar, he worked for such a fine magazine. Those early praises now silent after I got that job. Thank you.
Thank you, Elise. Wow, very strong.
Thank you.
Let's see. Next, we have Phil Harris.
Hopefully my mic is live.
Your mic is live, and
I'm going to read a poem called Casting Shadows. Are we but half ourselves as we wait for the sun to shine, not for the warmth to bring life, but for the shadows cast? How can we be awake to watch our shadows stroll along when they walk tall, lead our steps, when they walk after, as if they would linger, search for the place the sun goes when it slides beyond the horizon at the end of each day? Will they discover distant lands to lead and follow others? Stay with us, hiding in the darkness that blinds the world, leave their pale siblings behind, mock our lighted hours. How pitiful our offerings that pretend to challenge night. Our lamps, lights, however bright, cannot match the sun. They disrupt our daily rhythms measured by sun, stars, leaving us stressed, strained, wondering about our lives. Where is the blaze we sit around and commune together, which gave us warmth and left us joined to each other? The flickering blue fire we nightly watch reflects people, only allows us weak connection as we share our stories. We gain a better understanding of people's life far away. We will neither hold their eye, hands, nor prove our truth, nor can we comprehend that our shade is their shadow, their laughter, our joy, that flesh and flesh are only one, no matter what we believe, regard. We only can pretend. We construct monsters to frighten children. We stumble at midnight and upon the brightest day, and all because we were and are afraid to confess our terror and pain. We choose to imitate the star that hangs half above us. To cast shadows we must follow, those we cannot flee.
thank you, Phil. Thank you very much. It's very, very moving.
A little different.
Yes, yes. Reiner Newman, are you ready for your 3 minutes in the sun? I'll mute myself and you unmute yourself because you're still muted.
Okay, that's it, huh? All right. Diane, are we there?
Yes, it's good. I had muted myself.
Can you hear me now?
That's fine. Yes, it's perfect.
Okay, my 3 minutes of meaning.
Good, good.
Okay, and I'm going to cut my poem in half just for the 3 minutes. And it comes from my book, my new book. All right, here it is. Days of Revolution. On an evening ride to Sausalito, stopping at a carriage house to view the momentous news the great undoing of the world's division. The Berlin Wall was breached and coming down. The symbol of a nuclear standoff, missiles aimed and ready. Now the incredible had happened. People rose up within authoritarian silence and possible brutal response. They broke through the fences, climbed the barbed bricks of the wall, stood in exaltation on that painful history, stood and laughed and sang, silhouetted against the sky, stood and cried in the light of freedom, without a shot fired, without a life lost that day, a miracle of the inevitable spirit of the many and the wisdom of a few who had the power at their command. Days of revolution, the new age came on without knowing. After Satchmo had blown the trumpet and take 5 had been taken, someone howled into the smoke. The ancient storytellers were becoming new again. We're changing. The beats and the rhythms and the blues were being amplified by the rocking bands, rocking far out, sprung out, playing into the night until the sound spread across America. So many Pied Pipers and tambourines. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, a new generation, questioning the worth of their efforts, the reasons for their dying in some foreign jungle. Black light posters, paisley shirts, joints smoked, acid taken, patterns rejected, projected on the walls and minds and dancers, street protests and borders questioned. Peace, brother, peace, sister, in the hearts of many once upon a timeless now. Days of revolution, in the land of the brave and free, now so murky and divisive. From underground resentment, years of rage and hate, breaching the light of day, awakening the perplexed with sadness felt, and the internet of such potential being questioned, derided over by fake truth, discourse shouted down, stories mired in stereotypes and labels. Who knows what this will come to mean in the history of this America? All in contrast to the millions of people in the world waking, rising, reaching, grasping, still so hungry for opportunity, while Lydia Liberty still stands and steps towards the future with the arms and hands of generosity and inclusion, her spirit gracing the harbor of the East Coast and the Golden Gate of the West and the vast expanse of the North and the many dreams of the South. Individual will, goodwill, still reaching out and ongoing with compassion, acknowledgement, and justice still being fought for and lived for within this human dialectic, within this historic time, this intersection of past and future ages, converging in becoming these days of revolution.
Thank you, Reiner.
Too much for me.
Thank you very much.
It's these times. Thank you.
It is
Thank
indeed. You're welcome. Thank you.
Wow.
Oh, let's see. Joel Katz, are you ready for us?
Yes, I am.
Great. We are ready. Yep.
Okay.
You are on.
Well, I just wanted to tell Reiner that outside the front doors of the Mountain View Library, there's an actual standing section of the Berlin Wall, which is protected under glass. So you don't have to go to Europe to see the remnant of it. This is a recent poem called Arsonist of the Desert. I search for suitable targets, preferably wooden and multi-storied. Something to stand out against the night, beckoning crowds and sirens, some counterpoint to the cold moon. All I find is scrub, miles of sand, and no people. The heat here scorches every surface, but only by day, and not by my own hand. No instant ignition and blaze, no one to be awakened by shouts and smoke. Elsewhere, houses on fire and trees on fire and whole mountainsides aflame, while I sit here waiting to recompose a town. I am an arsonist of the desert. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you. Very powerful. Bobby Miley. There you are. Good.
Hey there.
Welcome.
All right, here's a short little something. Tree frogs oozing tree fog out of their pores while sitting on tree logs just out of reach of tree dogs who bark to draw the attention of their owners who are blinded by up-dogged on a log tree frog fog.
Well, you know what? That was so short. Can we hear it again?
Oh, sure thing.
Please. Yeah. It whizzed through my head.
All right. Tree frogs oozing tree fog out of their pores while sitting on tree logs just out of reach of tree dogs who bark to draw the attention of their owners who are blinded by up-dogged on a log tree frog fog.
Oh, that's super. So playful. Let's see. Phyllis Klein, would you like to read us something? I wasn't sure by your letter whether you just wanted to come and listen or whether you're going to have something to read.
Oh, right. That was for the sonnet one.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
It's all become a blur.
I just was surprised that I came next, but I see. Yeah, okay.
Well, quite a few folks didn't turn up. And then we have a few extras that as soon as you read, we're going to tuck in.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
All right. Thank you. Well, so
Sure.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thanks. So this is one I just wrote, and I don't know how it's going to sound out loud to me or to anybody, so I'm going to give it a try, though. So it's called Saving Graces. Today, my acupuncturist, Sharon, saved me from a life of crime that started yesterday when I forged her signature on the Great Plains Lab requisition form. I only realized her signature was missing as I was about to seal the FedEx mailer, and the test would have been ruined. I couldn't take another failed blood test, even one I could do at home with a small lancet that only gave a tiny bruise on my finger. I just couldn't take it. Couldn't watch again the hibiscus red droplets of blood try to land on the small circles of absorbent paper when they wanted to stop and clot instead. But today, Sharon put her signature on file with the lab and didn't get mad about the forgery. This is how she saved me. Then it was Tyson, the young-sounding man at the Farm Fresh to You vegetable box delivery customer service department, who said he would lose sleep if we thought he or his company was only in it for the money. Tyson, so sad for the spoiled vegetables delivered last week and the daisy yellow wilted kale from yesterday. At least the eggs were perfection, their yolks the color of joyous protein. And the picture of the red-toed tree frog on my table from the Page a Day gallery calendar. The frog's red fingers and feet entwined in front of its blue, green, and white body, eyes like the aforementioned egg yolks, with large black irises. It reminds me of when we touched one in Costa Rica at the Snake and Reptile Museum 3 years ago. The attendant woke it from sleep just for us. The gift of seeing it waken, watching the camouflage of his green legs move, revealing the blue and white body, observing the marigold orange eyes as they gradually opened, the graciousness of an animal not disturbed by a sleep disturbance. This frog on calendar page Tuesday, September 15th, 2020, itself an oil painting, who sits there for no other reason than to remind me of happiness. The ginger candy that helps calm my agitated digestion. The Yoga with Adrienne YouTube for loneliness, for courage, for whatever I need. My loves, the way I hope you might feel when you read this.
Thank you. Thank you. Myrna, you're here, and are you ready to read for us, or do you need some time to chill out? I saw that you just arrived.
Okay.
We could come back to you later if you wanna.
I'm fine.
All
You
right.
can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I think several of you may have heard this, but majority hasn't. PALI stands for one of the high schools in Palo Alto. They affectionately call it PALI. A visit to PALI High School. The door to the classroom was ajar. I pushed it open, entered a new world. In front of me, a medley of students, the shades of pale moon, white porcelain, ebony, mahogany, a blessed spread of colors as created before ugly words like differentness and foreignness were ever invented. From the tilt of the beloved head of my granddaughter, some stray curls escaped, unruly, springy, ready to move with wind. The lanky limbs, the taut heels impatient, set to lift off the ground and sprint, span the earth, make it a home for everyone. She was one among the others, as similar to them as if related, one beautiful wave of hope advancing, one eager body of youth. The sweet, salty drops pooled in my eyes. Driving home, I took my time. The steering wheel held up my arms, drove on its own, while I embraced the world in gratitude. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Myrna. Thank you. We're at the end of our official list, and there's some folks, some surprise folks who've come in. So first, I'd like to call on Hiram LaRue, who's here from Maryland. Is it, Hiram?
Right. Thank you, Diane. And
Sure, you're
thank
welcome.
you, Steve.
So
yeah.
glad you could make it.
It's good to be on the unofficial list. I love being unofficial. That's great. I
Some
posted
evenings it doesn't work, but
that's right. Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
I posted a little bit earlier in the chat up top about a call for work on poetry of hunger, poems about hunger. And some of you have responded and really appreciate that. And we've been able to post your poems on the website, the Poetry X Hunger website. If others would be so inclined, we'd love to see your work. I'm just now posting an announcement about a upcoming homage in poetry to the largely erased enslaved community at a historic plantation in Virginia. The program is called Voices of Woodlawn, And as the note says, we're going to be presenting that work twice in the coming weeks. And so if you'd like the link to either, or if you'd like the link, send me, or like more information, just send me a note or send a note to voicesofwoodlawn@gmail.com. The poem I'm going to read, I apologize if some of you have heard this before. I try to, like everyone, I've been trying to keep track of what has been read where. Sometimes these children, though, get away from me, and it's hard to keep track of them all. This one is offered in the spirit of a love poem. Since we are in a poetry reading, I thought I'd offer another love poem. It's titled Clatter. Love me in the very same way that the word unbeknownst sounds in midair. Yes, or just like how spires climb to the very top. And then even beyond soap's slip or noon's drift, and as far as puddles can jump, love to love me like that. And love me as if handshakes were grins, or as when echoes find their tunnel. Love me like those birds that love diving and corners, or just like sunlight is love as it teases the cupboards. Love me in all those ways and more. And with sashes open, love me now, but also then. And as much as when lunch is served, with all that back and forth and clatter. Yes, love me as surely as cups that will spill. Or then above, with nights excel, when listening turns to dreams, love me like the swirling din within the word abound. Thanks, Diane.
Thank you, Hiram. Thanks so much. Oh, what a great evening. And it's not over yet. Let's see, we have Robert Rubino, Terry Adams, Veronica, and Rosemary, who haven't read, but who, if they would like to read, are welcome to.
I would love to read. Thank you, Diane.
Sure, okay.
This is called Break Time. Maybe you've lost your patience with your country, with a loved one. Maybe you've become too tightly wound, too judgmental, don't have Zen spirit, at least not when it counts. Maybe you're constipated or were raised Catholic, took it seriously, way too seriously, loved it all, until it all fell like a ton of Baltimore catechisms from a tower of incense-scented hocus pocus jibber jabber. Maybe you've been traumatized over 70 years by all you've suffered and all the suffering you've inflicted on others, never thinking you could or would. Maybe you should take a breather, a deep, clean, cleansing breath. Give yourself a break before you break down or in half or in pieces. Unwind, judge not. Do compassion, including self-compassion, especially when compassion appears undoable. Appearances can be deceiving, so you've been told. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert. Let's see, we actually lost some of what you read because of a glitch on the page. I think I'm going to ask you to read that again. Sorry, we waved at you, but you were looking at your words and not at us, so you didn't see us.
Oh,
would you mind?
No, not at all. Was the glitch on my end?
No,
Oh,
it was something that Steve was trying to do. He was trying to fix something else.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for giving me another chance.
Sure. I'm going to mute
called-
myself now.
It's called break time. Maybe you've lost your patience with your country, with a loved one, or with yourself. Maybe you've lost your temper at your species, at friends, at strangers, or especially at yourself. Maybe you've become too tightly wound, too judgmental, don't have Zen spirit, at least not when it counts. Maybe you're constipated or were raised Catholic, took it seriously, way too seriously, loved it all until it all fell like a ton of Baltimore catechisms from a tower of incense-scented hocus pocus jibber jabber. Maybe you've been traumatized over 70 years by all you've suffered and all the suffering you've inflicted on others, never thinking you could or would. Maybe you should take a breather, a deep, clean, cleansing breath. Give yourself a break before you break down or in half or in pieces. Unwind, judge not. Do compassion, including self-compassion, especially when compassion appears undoable. Appearances can be deceiving, so you've been told. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience in reading it again. It was worth it. Yes. Let's see. Terry, do you have anything you'd like to read for us? Okay, you could unmute yourself. That would be good.
Okay, did that work? Did I
Yes.
unmute? Okay.
You did. You did. You are most unmuted.
Thank you.
I'm going to mute myself now.
This is called The Living and the Dead. A main distinction between the living and the dead is that the remains become unrecognizable long before their still living friends forget what they looked like. This condition is contradicted in the living, who are always trying to become more visible because they feel they are dying long before an actual death. This excess worry among the living could be the generator of the spirit world. The inclination to always hold the feel of a vacant future in mind, venerating the dead in memory, who meanwhile escalate in anonymity as to who, which sex, what race, species, genus, phylum, kingdom, planet. That's all.
Oh, great. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Oh, we'd like to go back to Dini Logi again and see if we can manage. You're muted, Dini, so if you can unmute, that would be a good start. Okay, that's good. You're unmuted. No, I can't hear
Vinny
you.
Logie, is the computer mic muted? Down in the right-hand corner of your screen, there's a little speaker icon. Is there an X next to it? Click on that speaker icon. Or I'm sorry, not the speaker icon. You need the microphone icon.
Right.
So right-click on that speaker icon, and you'll see Open Sound Settings at the top. I have a feeling you may have the wrong microphone input.
Mm. Oh dear. Okay, well, let's see. Who haven't I connected with yet? Veronica, is there something you'd like to read?
Yeah, I can read something.
Okay.
And sorry, Dini Logie. This one is called Home. No matter how long I live here, I'll never be a local. Always someone from over the hill. Never named queen of the Shamarita, never read currents as easily as the lines of my palm. I settle into my secret cove, awaiting the return of the elephant seals who winter here. Each day, the tide steals my boot prints from the sand. Each day, I plant them new. The limit per catch of giant owl limpet, my neighbor says, is 32. Saute up nice. Named for an attachment scar that looks like an owl on the inside of the shell. You can only see it if you shuck it. The owl limpet is a farmer. It tends its plot of microalgae on wave-racked rocks of the upper littoral, bulldozing barnacles and mussels, then retreating to its home scar, the precise hole it's carved for itself in the rock. If you pried me away from this place, turned me over and gutted me, you'd find a picture in the shape of a house, a wave the color of pearl. If you held me to your ear, you'd hear the click of the perfect latch of key to hole.
Oh, magical. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that readable anywhere? Is that like up?
It
No, it's secret. Okay.
It's not a secret. It was published by Tinderbox.
I just love to see. Sometimes I hear or get a poem better if I read it on the page after I hear it. So I'd love to be able to read that one.
I can try to post a link.
Sure, that'd be wonderful. That'd be wonderful.
Thank you.
Welcome. Rosemary, would you like to read something, or are you you're muted? You're muted, Rosemary. You're telling me wonderful things, but I can't hear a word.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I have been writing quite a bit, but I can't get to the things I wrote.
Okay.
But they're on the iPad and on my other computer. So I read something that from one of my books.
Okay.
The book is called Weaving, and I've been weaving lately. You know, I just found that it's really helpful for me during this time. We're all going through it, a really bad time, and it just makes me feel better. And so all of a sudden I'm making these bags and purses.
Oh, whoa.
I am. Anyway.
I'm coveting.
This is one that
is in the book Weaving. It's not about weaving. Walls I never noticed. Surrounded by black tar paper, cement floors, a belching heater, I waited for Mama to return from packing pears. My sibling, a nightly earthquake, stirred me from my sleep. Our living room was our kitchen, was our bedroom, was our tub in the kitchen, was our house, was our shack where we lived, they said for now. The outhouse, an unearthly well of rotting excrement, was a ghostly cave. We worked in fields laced with insecticides, fields that generously offered us air, tomatoes, worms, and soil. My sister and I played happily with a rusty wagon, for then we did not notice the walls that surrounded us. That's it.
Oh, I love it. Oh, thank you so much. Oh.
My husband is really wonderful. He just brought me a bowl of ice cream.
Oh. What flavor?
Well, it's a cherry. It's a cherry chocolate.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Well, we are at the end of our official list, so now I can read something before I hand it over to Joe for the last poem. This is a sonnet, Elementary, an invocation. You enter what is empty and surround all objects in your path. Adopt the shape of anything that holds you. Underground, you follow every crevice, fill the space around each root. Above, you'll ride a storm at pole or at the planet's waist. You cream at ocean's edge and swiftly shift your form according to the weathers, now ice, now steam. With wooden skis, I've slid across your back in heat and cold, have waded overflow, have crossed your bridges, fallen in, been fallen on and filled. You'll smash boats and windows, yet I've seen you follow fingers placed in your slenderest falling stream. Thank you so much. So, Joe, would you like to send us a poem to go home on? Give us a poem and unmute yourself and give us one for the road.
Okay. You know, at the beginning, since I was the featured reader, I thought I should do tried and true poems that I know have been popular. But what I love about open mics is you get to, it's a place where you can fail, you know, safely. And so I like to try out new poems. And I figured, okay, we're in the open mic section now. So here comes a new poem that I've never read. So forgive me if I fail. This is called Kitty Food and Karma and Capitalism. You can't see it, but I took the liberty of spelling capitalism with a K. So looks better. Fits in with the mood of the poem too. Okay. In the old days, they smooshed your credit card with a slider and you'd sign a receipt with an actual pen. They'd rip out carbons and flimsy slips, one for you, one for them, one which went to a factory in San Francisco where in 1970 a hippie could work night shift. We whooshed stacks of tissue-thin papers through machines that mostly did not mangle them, So upstairs, the bank could send you a bill that mostly was correct. One dawn, as I leave work, as my long sun-rising shadow walks to my old Volkswagen Beetle, a credit slip blows across the lot, slaps against my shoe. So I bend and pick it up. 16 cans of cat food, $8 and change. My moral choice to either go straight home and let some lucky woman get free cat food, or return the slip and let the merchant be paid. To my surprise, reacting to mood or whim or subtle programming, I choose to return, to hand in the slip. No mercy, and not my normal anti-capitalist behavior. All in the moment, wondering why, feeling the fool. Hand it to the machinery amid the smell of paper dust and carbon inks, which are actually made of soot and wax. Did you know? A minute's delay in my departure. So, on the way home, the Porsche that loses control on 101 and plows head on into two oncoming cars, killing 6 people, happens a minute before I drive up in my Beetle.
Whoa.
Wasn't sure if that would hold together, but I hope it did.
You didn't fail. It was good.
It's really true. There was this horrible accident and I just missed it by a minute because something delayed me at work.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, we're coming to the end now. Thanks to all our readers and special thanks to Joe Cottonwood. Let's give Paul a glow. Let's give Joe. Please tune in for our next regular Coastside Poetry event on Tuesday, November 10th, when we'll welcome Oakland poet Ben Gucciardi. Also, I'll remind you that we have a special Coastside Poetry event, a sonnet salon, coming up on Sunday, November 1st. Sonneteers Kathleen McClung, Rebecca Faust, and David Rosenthal will be our guests. Most of you will already have received the notice, but if you haven't and are interested, please type your name and email into the chat box. That brings us to the end of tonight's program. Thanks so much for joining us at Coastside Poetry